Item number AK8033 is a product that can be used in all sorts of scenes and dioramas to reproduce dry and cracked ground surfaces. It comes in a 100ml container with a wide lid, making it easy to handle and simple to apply. It's an acrylic product, so water can be used during application to affect the result, as well as to clean any tools you use. You should stir the paste well before using it so all the components are mixed properly. You can use the handle of an old brush or a thin piece of wood to do that. Any brush will do to apply the product itself. This paste is specifically used to obtain a certain type of effect, so it's not a good idea to mix it with others. The other ground effect pastes can be combined to obtain different results. You will get different results depending on how thick you apply the crackle paste. To show you, I'm going to use some pieces of foam and apply the paste straight from the pot for one thick layer and one diluted with a bit of water for a thin layer. After waiting a couple of hours and always making sure the paste has dried properly, you can see the difference between the two methods. The thin layer, the one I diluted with a bit of water, has minimal ground crackling and small cracks. On the other hand, the thicker layer, the one I applied straight from the pot, has more crackling and larger cracks. You can clearly see the difference. Let's start with a piece of foam about 10 by 8.5 by 2.5 centimeters, which I'm going to shave down to size to create the relief I want. Once you have a terrain surface you're happy with, you can start using the terrain paste to create a base. I will also add a few plants and other elements to create the final scene. Before applying the crackle paste, I want to apply a thin layer of AK8039 to cover the foam completely. This paste for facades will create a uniform finish and improve the consistency of my base. To finish preparing the terrain, I need to sand down the whole surface. To create my terrain, I'm going to use the AK8015 paste at the back for a rougher finish, over which I'll add all my natural elements. I will use fine sand and stones of various sizes, which I will secure in place with a 50-50 mix of white glue and water. I'm going to use the crackle paste on the front part, and I'll also add some vegetation to the midsection. I'm going to apply the paste using a brush over the desired area. To blend the two separate sections together, I'll use some of my water and white glue mix. This will also let me secure my natural elements to the terrain. For the left rear corner, I have prepared a tree to which I've added some roots using a 2-part putty. I'm going to need to paint this properly before adding it to my scene. For that, I've used acrylic colours and enamel washes. I'll secure it to my scene using white glue, and then I can fill in all the gaps around the roots using the paste. I'm going to add the smaller stones to the paste while it's still wet, and you can use a bit of white glue for the larger ones. I want to apply the AK103 acrylic putty to the front section because its finish is harder and more consistent. This is applied in the same way as the previous paste. Using a spatula, I'm going to smooth out the point where the different materials meet using a wet brush. After waiting at least a couple of hours for the putty to completely dry, I can smooth it out with some sandpaper. Now it's time to add the crackle paste to the front section of my scene. I will use different thicknesses of my paste for a variety of different results. It's easy to apply and you just need to spread it out with a brush. The point where the two pastes meet can be blended together with water and then left to dry for another couple of hours. As you can see, the result is exactly what we expected. You can see how different crackling effects have been created by changing the thickness of the layer I applied. All that's left now is to add the vegetation and paint. I'm going to use several acrylic paints to add colour to my terrain. A few drops of ultra matte varnish and water will help dilute them properly. By applying the paints fresh and blending them while I paint, I can obtain some nice smooth transitions and a good range of colours. Then I can add some filters and washes for depth and contrast. The darker colours should be used around the larger elements and the lighter colours in the more open areas. This will illuminate and highlight all the details very nicely. Finally, I can add the vegetation and secure it in place with some white glue. The final touches of paint with a yellowish green filter on certain areas of the crackle surface will simulate the scum that might have been left behind by evaporating water. And this is the final result after finishing the train and adding all the details. The crackle paste offers a wide range of possibilities when reproducing this effect in your scene. It's very easy to create and adds a touch of reality and variety that is essential for such monotonous and dry terrains. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop us a like and follow us on all our official channels. Goodbye!